many ways. Literature, culture. This is Cleopatra and Mark Antony. And then, of course, the greatest memorial to love is the Taj Mahal. In Agra, it holds the memory of a long-lost wife and the emperor who loved her that much. In fact, it is said that when the Taj Mahal was being constructed, Shah Jahan was imprisoned in a jail not too far away from the Taj, so that he could look through a particular window and see how to see his wife. Thus, love. There are other stories across the world. Salim and Anarkali, that's one more. And then Pocahontas and John Smith. Pocahontas is a Red Indian lady who fell in love with a newcomer to the new land named John Smith. Moreover, the greatest symbol for love, if you've seen, is always Cupid. Cupid, according to Greek mythology, is in fact the son of the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. So Cupid is, so anytime you fall in love, people say you've been struck by Cupid's arrow. Because he is a prankster, like that gentleman over there, who loves to create trouble. Now why do we fall in love? Okay, you thought we were all simple people who comprehended the world. But scientists, well, as crazy as they are, they decided to dig a little further and determine where and how love forms. They said love is actually in 3 stages. Falling in love. Firstly, it's lust. What is the basis for lust? Primarily 2 hormones. In males, testosterone, and in females, estrogen. That is why you see that many teenagers rapidly fall and have massive crushes, infatuations, everything. It's because of these 2 culprits. Because for the first time in their life, their physiology, their brain is getting bombarded by testosterone or estrogen. Then comes the second stage where you have attraction. 2 individuals may be attracted to each other. And many chemicals play a complex role when this happens. There is adrenaline that starts pumping. That's why your heart rate goes up. When you're attracted to someone, your heart rate goes up. Same thing happens when you're stressed out. When you're stressed out, your heart rate goes up. The same hormone kicks in when you're in love or you're attracted to someone. The heart rate, when you're talking to that one girl next to you who you just wanted to talk to but never could get around, and finally when she comes and says hi, you're like, hi. So that is basically because of the adrenaline rush. Then there's dopamine. Dopamine is basically an amine. It's a particular kind of chemical that precipitates pleasure, feelings of pleasure and happiness. That is why dopamine is also, you see an excess of dopamine when people take drugs. When you have cocaine, dopamine levels go up. That is why you feel like you're in 7th heaven. Thus, even when you're in love, you feel that you're in 7th heaven because of the excess dopamine that's in your head. Then there is serotonin and phenylethylamine. Both these are again relaxant. They help give you again a sense of pleasure and make you feel nice altogether. Phenylethylamine is also released when you have chocolates. So the same chemicals again kicking in when you fall in love. So you can understand why you give chocolates to a girl. Simple as that. You're getting those chemical receptors to work. Then finally you got endorphin. Has anyone heard of morphine?
Yes.
Morphine is a painkiller. So when you're terribly attracted to someone, she can come and stab you. You may not feel the pain because endorphins are getting kicked into your system. Endorphin is actually a complex of endogenous morphine. So they sort of, doctors hate long words, so they just club it together and say endorphin. So that's how it works. Finally, there are 2 questions that completely baffle me. One is, why are human beings, at least women, mothers? Why do they feel an attachment to their child? That is because of a hormone called oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. What scientists found is, after some research, I'm going to finish my speech, you don't show me the card. Scientists found is that when you have oxytocin is the hormone responsible for cuddling. So they took a couple of prairie wolves. Prairie wolves are another species of animals that actually live in pairs. Human beings have a mother and a father. Families all, we try to live our entire life as a pair. Prairie wolves also do that. So they took a pair of prairie wolves and they blocked oxytocin. What happened then is that the prairie wolf started rejecting its own child. When the child was being rejected by the prairie wolf when the oxytocin was blocked. At the same time, when they gave an injection of excess oxytocin, the same prairie wolf started adopting another's child. So we are actually and the same oxytocin is present in every woman who has had a child. It's there, and once you give birth, these hormones surge. Then there's one miracle thing that's called the vasopressin. So you're talking about people having divorces. This thing can ensure that people always stay together. Because what they realize is, again, in the prairie wolves are small rodent-like animals found in North America. So vasopressin has a few functions. One, it controls your kidney and urine output. At the same time, it's also responsible for people staying together. They've noticed that males who have vasopressin in sufficient amount ensure that the family stays together. That, as far as prairie wolves are concerned, and human beings have nearly the same proportion of vasopressin in their heads. So these 7 or 8 compounds are basically defining human civilization, from marriage to love to lust to your boyfriend, your girlfriends. Everything is actually floating in just chemicals. And before I complete this is very interesting. This is the area in your brain that love actually occupies. This is it. This is the same area which is also activated when you have cocaine. So it's actually such a small thing. Finally, how many of you have never been in love? Liar. You've had a crush. Infatuation. Liar. Then this is definitely for you. How do you fall in love? It takes exactly half an hour.
That's it. Just a moment.
Half an hour.
Just a moment.
How is the process? The process is very important. Professor Arthur Arun in Yorkshire University was conducting this experiment on people. And what he did, he took a couple, put them together in a room and asked them for about half an hour and asked them to share intimate details about each other. These people have never met before. They've never been there before. Within about 2 to 3 minutes of this dialogue, people started feeling a lot closer to the other person. In fact, after about 34 minutes, they felt very, very deeply attracted to the other person. So much so, one of the subjects actually went and got married after that. So, love is not just about music, about songs, about just an emotional high. It is a very, very complex chemical process which can be kick-started in ways that we hardly imagine. So when you say that you have an arranged marriage and you just got half an hour to see your wife or your would-be, trust me, that half an hour is more than enough. And is it dangerous? Of course. So if any of you have heart problems and you want to fall in love, please think twice, not because you'll end up with a broken heart, but more because when love kicks in, so does adrenaline. And when adrenaline kicks in, your heart rate goes up. If your heart cannot keep up with that rate, it'll just say stop. So you can actually die of love. And then of course, because love behaves like this absolute chemical mix equivalent to say cocaine, heroin and morphine put together, if you withdraw from it, you will have the same withdrawal effects of cocaine, heroin and morphine. So you can actually go into things like acute depression because you've fallen out of love. With that, I'd like to hand over back to the toast.